The rat is a creature that mankind has had to live with since civilization was first beginning. They are always underfoot, always skittering around in the dark places we choose not to think about. It's easy to see them as vermin, worthy of our scorn and disgust, but we underestimate rats at our own peril. They are endlessly cunning, intelligent, and capable of incredible feats. Rats have led to tremendous changes in humanity without even meaning to. Their presence has changed our society, and their ability to spread plague has given them the reputation as disease-ridden creatures. Though they are small, they are mighty. So what happens if there was a race of rats close to the size of men, capable of communicating like men, capable of building like men, and capable of organizing like men? Ratmen, sometimes called the Skaven in the world of Warhammer. What would humanity do if faced by this fascinating but dangerous race of creatures? Let's talk about it. This is Fantastical History. When discussing Ratmen, what exactly does that mean? How would Ratmen look, act, reproduce, and function? Firstly, Ratmen probably wouldn't grow much larger than maybe 5.5 feet, not standing abnormally tall. They are a simple species, living much as average rats do. They produce little and mostly scavenge, take, and repurpose. Female Ratmen would predominantly be for reproduction, as Ratmen likely would value their clan's size and strength. After all, for Ratmen, their greatest gift has always been in sheer numbers. Alone, a Ratman might not seem much of a threat to the average human, but in a swarm, a whole clan could lay siege to a city. The average clan might hold up to, at minimum, 7,000 or 9,000 rats at a time, but stronger clans would consume or bring other smaller rat clans into their own and expand their power. But with all their numbers, there comes a weakness: resource control. As I said before, rats are predominantly scavengers by nature. They produce very little, if anything. Rats are crafty and intelligent, but they lack the aspect of their psyche that separates them from humanity: innovation, creativity, imagination. Mankind has always had a talent for advancing beyond what is in front of them, being innovative enough to grow and change technologically, politically, and socially, as well as industrially. Ratmen would likely lack this same capacity or capability. While able to perhaps mimic or copy human invention or discoveries, their inability to see beyond what is right in front of them means they'll often be a few steps behind humanity. During the Bronze Age of technology, when human civilizations are sparse, separated, and far apart, this would be the golden age for Ratmen. They could easily overwhelm smaller and less powerful civilizations and cities, overcoming them and using their resources to feed their clans. Only large, powerful cities and nations like Egypt would be able to hold fast against their hordes. By the time Ratmen make it to the age of Greece, however, things will begin to change. Empires like the Babylonians, the Persians, and the Greeks would not fall nearly as easily. By this point in history, military tactics and weapons would have advanced to the point that sheer numbers don't determine a battle, and the Ratmen's greatest strength has always been in numbers. However, Ratmen would endure. The world lacks the means to fully expunge them entirely, and so smaller, out-of-the-way city-states, civilizations, and colonies that cannot fight to the level of these great empires and nations would inevitably fall to the Ratmen. But the Roman age would see a drastic change. Rome's organized military and vast expansion would cut off the resource control the Ratmen need, and their rapid response to danger or external threats means that any hit-and-run tactics of the Ratmen would not be nearly as effective. They would be forced east, only to meet the Chinese Empire, another powerful and unconforming empire that would be just as fierce and strict to the Ratmen. This would become a disaster for the Ratmen. You see, like their real-world rat kin, Ratmen would eventually fall on each other. In a world where they are boxed in, only the strong would be allowed to live, and you would see them begin feeding on each other, struggling to steal and scrounge up food, medicine, weapons, armor, and shelter. But despite what they might build up, the strongest rat clan would still not have the raw fighting force to engage Rome or China. Definitely not both at the same time. However, things will change for them. By the time of the Dark Ages and the rise of the medieval Europe, the sudden shift in power would spell a new age for Ratmen. With the collapse of Rome, the medieval feudal states would be divided, with only the church as any form of unified leadership. The Ratmen could now more easily take advantage of the roads and systems built by Roman hands and scavenge from the towns and far-off villages, less protected by the medieval kings and lords. In a battle, the rats would also have a better advantage, as the organized military might and rapid deployment of Roman legions would be absent. Their overwhelming presence and fierce resilience would aid them well in medieval war. Not only this, but they will have learned and begun to adapt from their lessons against Rome, perhaps organizing themselves in Roman tactics of battle. Even without the Roman discipline, ratmen that mimic the tactics of Rome can still be somewhat effective. The medieval knight would still be a hard counter to a ratman, but a handful of knights are still only that compared to a swarm of giant rats. But the rats would be halted in their expansion by a single sudden disaster: the Black Plague. In history, it was not rats themselves that spread the Black Plague, but the fleas that the rats carried. It was from these fleas that mankind caught the plague. Ratmen, being larger and having similar biology to both rats and man, might actually be just as susceptible to the plague, if not more so, and worse, given that they live in such close proximity to their brood, and their uniformity and bonds are what give them strength. The plague would spread easier among the rats than it would among humans. This new golden age for rats would fade swiftly under the weight of their own plague. Ironically, the very event that made rats so despised would also be their undoing. With the rise of the Renaissance and then into the Age of Enlightenment, ratmen would be forced to hide themselves further. Mankind's increase in technological discoveries, discovering of new lands and worlds, and a stronger sense of military and advanced presence in Europe and Asia would force ratmen to escape persecution and extinction, only striking at small and defenseless caravans, towns, and cities as they had done in the past. But with the Industrial Age, we would see the end of ratmen. The greatest means of survival ratmen had was their ability to burrow away into dark corners of the world and bide their time. But the plague would teach humanity that their close familial ties and resilience on numbers could be their undoing. And it was in the Industrial Age that we developed chemical warfare. Gas, poisons, and disease become our greatest weapons against the rats, and soon ratmen become so rare that they would inevitably go extinct. Now, the obvious question must be asked: could there be another way? Could ratmen coexist peacefully? Likely not. Rats are opportunistic by nature. A single rat on its own might be domesticated and taught to live among humans, but a clan of rats, a whole brood? Given the chance, they would feed upon and grown humans in moments. They are just as harsh and cannibalistic to their own kind and will consume their own to survive. A ratman's promise of peace only lasts so long as the ratmen are weaker. Once they grow in size and power and crave more resources, that promise of peace no longer has relevance. Take, for an example, the Disney movie Ratatouille, the story of a rat who dreams of becoming a cook. When his brother learns that the kitchen Remy works at has food, he begins to invite his friends, requiring Remy to steal more food. When they invite more and more, it becomes harder to steal and bring more food for them without drawing suspicion. Then, when Remy and his human friend have a falling out, Remy shows a more rat-like side to himself.
I'm sorry, Remy. I know there are too many guys.
You know what? It's okay. I've been selfish. You guys hungry?
What are you kidding?
All right, dinner's on me. We'll go after closing time. In fact, tell Dad to bring the whole clan.
An opportunity is created. His father even comments on this.
Oh, this is great, son. An inside job, huh? I see the appeal.
Now, the movie does have a happy and altruistic ending, but a point must be understood here. Rats, by their nature, focus on survival and will do it by any means. And if that means not only biting, but eating the hand that feeds you, they will do it in a heartbeat. Ratmen would be no different. And lastly, let's discuss the Skaven. In the world of Warhammer, the Ratmen there are known as Skaven, a race dedicated to their worship of the horned rat, and they use a mysterious substance called warpstone in order to do, well, everything. Warpstone helps them in constructing and engineering weapons and monsters. It provides the power they use for some of their machines and artillery. The warpstone has become a crucial part of what the Skaven use in their development and in war. Skaven are known to be intelligent, cruel, and imaginative, but not collectively. Only higher-ranking Skaven and leaders seem to possess an aptitude for growth, innovation, and discovery. Minor, younger Skaven are seen as little more than cannon fodder. They are expendable, because their primary means of battle is to overwhelm with raw power and numbers. Individually, a Skaven is not that strong, but collectively they are a force to be reckoned with. Could Skaven prove a threat to historical humanity? No, not likely. Not unless they had their warpstone and constructs. But if they have this, and that is the case, then humanity would have access to magic as well, and then the whole argument changes. Because if humanity has access to magic as well, they might be able to counter much of what the Skaven can bring. But that's not what we're here to discuss. Rats will forever be a part of human society, always finding new ways to live and escape extinction. But thank God we do not live among a race of rat men. Such a reality, I believe, would be a very dark one indeed. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll CC you next time. Take care.